Nessa girl, pull up a seat because we got to have a very nuanced conversation. There's something on my mind. Is it racist for commercial development owners to not want a certain clientele in their retail spaces? Let me give you the basis of my question. I get the news from all the major cities on my phone and on my computer, and I came across a very interesting story down in Miami where a retail development group, if you will, is being sued by someone who leases a space in their retail development, citing racial discrimination because the owners did not want to renew their lease without them agreeing that they would stop throwing certain kinds of parties in the retail space. So there's a space down in Miami called Gulfstream Park and Casino. It's an outdoor promenade that is anchored by a casino, and then it has a lot of retail stores and restaurants. To give you a better idea of the vibe of the place, it's not Bal Harbor, it's not super high-end with Gucci, Louis, and Prada, but it's still somewhat pricey. It's where Pottery Barn, Crate and Barrel, West Elm, Z Gallery, places like that, upper echelon restaurants. There's a few, family restaurants such as Yard House and a sports bar, but for the most part, it's a pretty upscale experience. Private karaoke rooms. It has an outdoor concert space. Your typical nice outdoor promenade with the palm trees and the cocktails. Okay. Within that space, there was a space large enough for people to come in, lease it, and build out a nightclub. There's a group there that has a nightclub called Club Fate, and they throw parties. They had a 5-year lease. At the end of the lease, they were given the option to renew for 5 more years. Well, when they got to their 5th year, they started getting some flack from the owners of the complex, citing that they would not renew them if they didn't agree to stop throwing parties that catered to, their words, Hiphopsters, parties that were promoted by 99 Jams, which is the urban radio station in Miami, or using urban promoters. So upon reading that at first, I'm like, ooh, bitch, that sounds kind of fucked up. That feels and sounds kind of racist. Because basically what y'all saying is, y'all don't want niggas there. You know what I'm saying? That was my first response. Then I said, well, is it that they don't want black people there? Or is it that they don't want certain kinds of black people there? Or does it have nothing to do with color and they don't want a certain type of clientele, period? Rather, they are green, brown, purple, or orange. You guys help me out with that. And I'm going to put the link to the story in the description box so you can read up and get some more background. So my initial thoughts were they didn't want black people there. But then I thought about it. And I've come to understand that white people love money. That's the only color they truly do see. But then I started thinking, you know what? Maybe they've got a point, okay? And here's the thing, y'all. I'm not speaking in absolutes right now. I thought it would be cool if I did a video where I just think out loud. I don't know what my official position is on this, but I will say this. We've got to be honest with ourselves in recognizing that if you got 3 radio stations, right, promoting a party, you got the smooth jazz station, you've got the grown folk station, and you've got the urban hip hop station, right? 3 radio stations. Of the 3 radio stations, which one do you think is going to draw the crowd that's going to potentially cause the most ruckus? And by virtue, that's going to be the hip hop station or the urban station. Now the question is that ruckus caused because they're black? Or is that ruckus caused because they're young? Or is that ruckus caused because hip hop culture just calls for ruckus, independent of skin color and age? Those are true questions we have to ask ourselves. But unfortunately, more black people than not indulge and participate and comprise hip hop culture. So it's very easy for people to draw the correlation that hip hop urban constantly means black. I'm not trying to be a white apologist in this situation, but I'm just trying to be fair. And the reality of the situation is, if 75% or more of my promenade caters to a certain clientele, and this is not about kissing white folks' ass, and this is not about making white people feel comfortable. This is just on some, if 70%, 80% of my clientele are the subdued, professional, tuck your shirt in, nice car driving, elegant people, and that's where I'm making the bulk of my money from, do I want to turn them off from the crowd that's coming to the club? Like, being honest, we all have our biases. We all have our biases that we've been socialized to believe, or that we've been indoctrinated in. We all do, okay? And they affect our shopping decisions. They affect where we live, so on and so forth. So my thing is, if I own a commercial space and I feel as if a certain kind of clientele is going to bring down the value of my space, or turn off or discourage majority of the people that shop there, then do I have a right to not want that clientele here? And that's the question. And where I'm confused at is, where is the line between, they just don't want black people, and no, we don't have an issue with black people, we just don't want a certain clientele of folks? That's where the waters get muddy, because I totally understand. Maybe they didn't use the right words. I understand the Hiphopsters phrase. I understand perfectly what they were saying. They were basically saying, in short, we don't want the rapper crowd running off our rich white women. There it is. That's what they were saying. We don't want the rapper crowd running off our rich white women. And it's funny because it speaks to a larger issue. Just because somebody's got dreads, goals, wearing a hat to the side, wearing Timberlands and jeans, does not mean they're going to rob, hurt, kill, or steal from anybody. I totally understand all of that, and I agree. However, there are people out there with limited exposure to the culture, and they only believe what they see on TV. And again, for me, I'm just looking at the money. My question again is, do you have the right to not want a certain clientele if it doesn't fit the image and the marketing that you're going for? Let's have some more honest truths. All right, while hip hop culture does influence fashion and in a huge way, let's not pretend like hip hop culture to a certain degree is not associated with thugness, poverty, the hood, so on and so forth. Then we've also got the high end. We got the Jay-Z, the Beyoncés, the Kanyes. But I'm just talking about as a whole and in general. And if I'm running this upscale, classy-based area, can the two exist in the same space where everyone is comfortable? Unfortunately, I kind of think not. But I'm really torn because I'm black. And I get how not wanting hip-hopsters and not wanting the urban radio stations to promote and attract that type of clientele to the promenade. I kind of get it. But I feel bad for sympathizing with the owners. Y'all understand what I'm saying? So I don't know what the right answer is in this situation. That's why I thought I would make this video, so maybe we can discuss it and figure out where the balance is. I mean, is the answer that they can do the hip hop parties and the hip hop club parties on a certain night? Is the answer, don't come at me unless you can show me some crime statistics, and if these people ain't did nothing, then back the fuck up off of us? Or do those people have the right to say, listen, what y'all got going on is not consistent with our brand? See, and that's more coded language, because that's the classy based way of saying it. You know, what you've got going on is not consistent with our brand. But y'all, let's keep it real. In 2013, child, I guess I'm stuck back there. In 2018, there is truth to that statement, okay? You do not want to have an adult sex store next to a kid's toy store, a maternity store, a women's suit and skirt store. That's not consistent with the brand of this plaza. You wouldn't want to have a hole in the wall bar next to a Christian bookstore. It's not consistent with the brand of the plaza. So my question to you guys is it racist to discriminate against a certain kind of clientele that overwhelmingly happens to be black because it's inconsistent with the brand? That's number one. I had a good point in my head I was just about to say. The other thing is, we discriminate in retail practices all the time. Do you notice there's never an Old Navy in the same promenade with Gucci? Okay? Now some may argue, yeah, because the Old Navy crowd can't shop where the Gucci crowd shops, so it doesn't make any sense to do it. But that's just a loose example of how we do discriminate in retail and residential spaces. So y'all, I don't want to continue rambling, but I really am torn on this issue. I feel guilty because I am black, and I know that the hip-hopsters and the urban crowd and the people that they're saying that they do not want to participate in their promenade overwhelmingly look like me. On the flip side of things, I have to be honest, and I totally get that, you know, there is a certain element of surprise that comes along with that crowd and many other crowds too. Just like they probably would not want the biker crowd. They probably would not want the white supremacist crowd. They probably would not want the skinhead crowd. They probably would not want the hillbilly crowd. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't fit the brand. So what are y'all thoughts? You know, drop down in the comments and let's talk about it. Let's have an honest conversation about it. Are these people being racist, or are they just protecting their business that they spend millions of dollars to build? And is it their right to not want whoever the fuck they don't want at their property? And you know, the other thing I get to, one last point I want to make. From the club owner's perspective, I'm starting to think that the reason why they're so upset is because they started making money with that urban crowd, whereas they were not making money with any other crowd. Because trust and believe, I do not think black people are white club owners' first go-to when they open up their establishment. So the reality of the situation is they probably opened the establishment and their desired clientele was not patronizing, so they had to go to the people who like to party. Cause we like to party! Hey! Yes, I'm more than positive that's what happened. But y'all drop that in the comments and let me know what you think. And we'll talk later. Bye. Oh! Don't forget, like and subscribe if you want to have more conversations like this, girl. We talks about it all over here on this channel. Reality TV, music, race, politics, sleeping with people's husbands, and however the fuck I feel. Now I'll call you later. Bye.